Senator, you might have heard of him. Former presidential candidate Senator John McCain joins us now, fresh off his primary win. Senator McCain, congratulations on that. Now let's focus on this. When the Marine Commandant General Conway said, "Don't set a deadline, it's making things harder for us in Afghanistan," were you surprised the president went ahead and put a deadline out there again anyway?
Well, I was not so surprised, but disappointed the president made that decision from a pure political perspective instead of a military one. No military person recommended to the president that he set a deadline. It's obviously an appeal to his left base. And the problem with all that is that you don't win conflicts when you tell the enemy that you're leaving. It's already had an impact in the region, ranging from people like Karzai down to a police chief I talked to in Kandahar, to the behavior of the Pakistanis. So it has put a very great burden on our ability to succeed in the region. And by the way, it would have been rather nice if the president had said, and President Bush not only loves the troops, but President Bush's courage to begin the surge was the reason why we succeeded. And President Barack Obama fought that surge every step of the way, even voted to cut off funding for the troops while they were there.
Well, we knew that he wasn't going to acknowledge the surge and thank President Bush for that after my interview yesterday with Robert Gibbs, because he refused to answer that exact question. Senator McCain, Joe Biden apparently...
Could I just interrupt saying, you know what I was always taught as a young officer is that when you succeed, you give credit to others. When you fail, you take responsibility. The president, I guess, never got that lecture.
Well, the vice president this morning apparently is talking about you. Let's take a listen.
I respect John, but I think John is absolutely wrong. Remember, John's the guy, George, who declared victory in Iraq in Afghanistan in 2005, number one. Number two, this is a policy agreed to by the military as well as the civilians in this government, and that military includes a Republican Secretary of the Defense who stayed over, or at least he was in a Republican administration, and General Petraeus.
How do you respond to the vice president?
This is the same then Senator Biden that said you had to divide Iraq into 3 countries, and again, with his incredible passion on the floor of the Senate, condemned Bush, the surge, and everything that was going on there. Look, I said a long time before we did this surge that we had to carry out a surge in Iraq. I said that we could succeed in Afghanistan, and I've always said we can. But if you tell the enemy you're leaving, you make it incredibly difficult, and it's not fair to the men and women who are serving there and sacrificing to do so, particularly when you do so for political reasons. Joe Biden and then Senator Obama fought the surge tooth and nail. Now they don't have the magnanimity to give people credit who did support it and the people who carried it out, like President Bush and others.
Senator, General Petraeus has said he agrees with the timeline, at least the July 2011, to begin to at least look at bringing troops out. How do you respond to people who would say, hey, if General Petraeus, the chief of command there, says the timeline's okay, shouldn't it be okay with us as well?
I think when you look at what General Petraeus is saying, is he said he's going to look at the situation starting in December and later at the time and make recommendations to the president. You have never heard him say, oh, I support withdrawing our troops beginning the middle of next year, no matter what. He has always said he's going to give the president his best military advice. He has never said, yes, it's a good idea for us to leave in the middle of next year, no matter what the conditions are. And that's basically what the president is saying. If he had stopped his comment with based on conditions, that would have been fine. Then he went on to say, but make no mistake about it, we will begin withdrawal. That's not helpful. It encourages our enemies and it dispirits our friends.
Well, Senator, there was a lot in that speech, and we have a lot to look at because there's a way forward here, and it seems like the president is very determined to go on with his domestic agenda and put a button on these wars. But thanks so much for joining us.
And remember, well, could I remind you again, BIOB, blame it on Bush.
Everyone knows that. We get it every day. Thank you very much, Senator McCain.
Thanks.
All right.
7